Those are very strong words, and the images you're seeing on your screen, of course, moments ago, sirens blazing here, explosions going off, pretty similar. Yeah, that's the siren. Yeah, can we just play that clip for a moment, just because this is. I,
I,
yeah, just so
I'm
people know
watching
why
this,
we.
and just so you know, I have really, really dear friends in Tel Aviv. Some of my staff, I own a travel company in
Yeah,
the region, and I have staff who are in Tel Aviv, and my heart's totally with them. I
yeah.
can't even imagine being there. Just like to me, you didn't ask me this question. I don't know if you're planning, but it's a question that every Palestinians get asked. Are you able to condemn Hamas? Which you can tell from my language, I
I
am. But
mean, I didn't ask you that because it was pretty evident to me that you do condemn Hamas, and my question actually was going to be that I actually think it's a pretty commonsensical, evident truth that what Hamas has done is to inflict terror, but that there are
yeah,
people who do not need to pay the price for that, and how do we amplify the voices of those people so that we can move forward from this polarized impasse that has haunted this conversation? And that's the reason I
you, you
didn't
know,
get. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I have a thought on this, and I think it's through my conversations with people, I feel like for me, I condemn violence towards civilians before I know what's their nationality, what's their ethnicity, and what's their religion. I condemn that violence regardless. And I wonder, before we say what we think about Israel Palestine, before you know if the kid killed is Palestinian or Israeli, if we condemn it or first we try to find the justification for it. I always like to put myself in the
Yeah.
place of somebody I might not fully understand. So right now, if I'm a Palestinian, I always put myself of what an Israeli in Tel Aviv is thinking, what an Israeli in Jerusalem is thinking, in Kibbutz Be'eri, in Kfar Aza. And I hope Israelis also able to do the same. Not just saying, well, they supported Hamas, they deserve what's happening, which I know is a sentiment, unfortunately, is becoming widespread. But think, if I was in Gaza now with my family, how would I feel? What would be going through my mind? Would that really make me go against Hamas, or would it make me lose my mind and potentially even join Hamas? Um, these are questions that we have to always put ourselves in somebody else's shoe to understand where they come from. And I know it's so hard to do that, but it's one way we can stop what's going on, is to start understanding the pain and the suffering and sympathize with the pain of suffering, even with people you see as enemies. Because if we don't, we'll
Yeah.
continue in a cycle of violence. We have this last 10 days more people killed than through the whole second intifada of Israelis and Palestinians. 5 years of a bloody intifada that I remember, it was horrifying time. And in 10 days, we managed to kill more people than we did in 5 years on both sides.
Yeah, it is horrific. You're in the United States, a 6-year-old kid was stabbed, and you've spoken also about dehumanizing Palestinian lives. And the Israelis would say, the Palestinians or the Hamas supporters have dehumanized ours. And this cycle of competitive sort of grief, in a way, competitive loss, political gets politicized, when a conversation is really about human loss. And as you said, if a child dies, the child dies, and somebody's heartbroken somewhere. When you saw this stabbing in Illinois, what did.
Look, I spend my time half in Jerusalem and half in the States. And so
Mhm.
I have one foot in each. Both are my home right now. And the rhetoric in the US against Muslims and against Arabs and against Palestinians is off the chart. So when I saw it, I was first heartbroken for the family. Stabbed 26 times, this kid. But in the same time, I wasn't surprised. My own senator, I live in South Carolina, my own senator asked to flatten Gaza, and this is a holy war against Muslims. That's what he called it, a holy war.
Mm.
My former governor of South Carolina said Israel must flatten Gaza completely. There are so many voices that saying, if you now carry a Palestinian flag, you must be anti-Semitic. If you see freedom for Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic. If we use that kind of language, including, by the way, the ADL, who accused MSNBC News of having Hamas write their segments. This is an organization that's supposed to counter hatred. Said Hamas is writing the segments for MSNBC. Why? Because they bring in Palestinian voices to humanize Palestinians that have different narrative, different story, that it's not only about what happened this week. There's a bigger context also to what's going on. And he basically said a whole TV is somehow supporting Hamas. This kind of rhetoric is going to lead to so much more. I'm seeing videos, not just from the States, by the way, from Europe, of people attacking Palestinians. I just saw a video of people who are working for UNICEF being attacked in Europe because they are collecting money to help Palestinian children. This is going out of control, absolutely out of control. Look, if you pro-Palestinian rights, you're not anti-Israel, and if you pro-Israel safety, you're not against Palestinians. This is, I can't believe we even have to say this. It's not either or. You can care for Palestinians, you can ask for end of the occupation, and you can still at the same time say, I don't want anybody to be hurt. I don't want Israelis to be killed. I think what Hamas did is awful. You can say both of these things together. And today, it feels, when I say that, people would look at you and say, oh, wait, this is not okay. Are you sure you can say it? I'm completely in shock that people wouldn't see this as the normal response.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, this is a conflict that is actually expanding at this point. We are getting an update that the IDF is striking Hezbollah terrorist targets in Lebanon, even as sirens go off for central Israel, central Tel Aviv, I beg your pardon. An anti-tank missile has been fired from Lebanon towards northern Israel today, and so it goes. Oh, I'm so sorry. We have another update from the IDF. We have just eliminated Ayman Nofal, a senior Hamas operative. Nofal was the commander of Hamas's Central Brigade in Gaza. Nofal directed many attacks against Israeli civilians and is one of the most dominant figures in the terrorist organization. We are going to be looking at those updates also coming. I was just going to ask you a final question. The American president is in Tel Aviv on Wednesday, from where he heads to Jordan. The Americans are, those are, by the way, the bombings that took out this Hamas operative on your screen. My question to you, Aziz, was going to be, as an American citizen with your heart, you're a Palestinian American, trying to empathize for human beings across religious and sort of ethnic and political divides. The American president arrives here. What might you not expect him to say and do, but want him to say and do?
I don't expect him to meet with Palestinians. I haven't seen the agenda yet. I don't expect him to meet with Palestinians. I don't expect him to really push beyond what's happening now and think of a framework, not just to what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Maybe try to convince Israel not to do a mass invasion of Gaza. But I don't expect him to really push for an end of this conflict, which is what he should have done in the last 3 years. I'll be shocked if he does. Look, he is gambling big time, and this is something I don't think he even thought about it. This next election is going to be close. Every poll we're looking, if he's the nominee against Trump, which seems to be the way going, it's going to be really close. One state could make him win and lose. Remind you, Michigan is one of those states that has a significant number of Muslim and Arab voters, and everyone I know in Michigan, every Muslim and Arab are who vote, by the way, 70%, approximately 70% Democrat, are not gonna vote for him, and that means losing the presidency for him. I was appalled in the first couple of days. He has changed his language recently. I was appalled at how Palestinians became the enemy. He couldn't say even, we expect Israel to follow rules of war. Not even don't go to war, but rules of war. And to me, watching my friends, I just saw a video from a very dear friend who's originally from Gaza in DC, and her daughter was attacked in the school by her friends because of what she's seeing. This is the doing of our president, because he allowed that to happen. It's the doing of our media. And it's not only the super conservative media, even the liberal media that would not have Palestinian voices, would not present us really as normal, peaceful people. We only either Hamas or people who are mourning for our dead, and that's it. There is no Palestinians who support peace for American media, whether it's left or right, unfortunately.